He has spent 4 decades as an internationally recognized expert in education. She graduated not that long ago from the public education system. Sounds like that makes both of them quite knowledgeable about how we might improve things here in Ontario. Their new book, written together, is called Too Far From Perfect, a father-daughter conversation about public education. And here's that father-daughter tandem right now, Charles Pascal and Tai Pascal Notar. Welcome back to you, and welcome here to the first time to you.
Thanks.
It's nice to have you guys here. Okay, Tai, I want to start with you because I want to just sort of trace your educational background a little bit. Between kindergarten and what we used to call grade 13, which was what, OAC for you, or grade 12, or whatever it was?
Yeah.
You probably had 60 teachers. How many memorable ones?
What kind of memorable?
For a good reason. Good follow-up question on your part.
Maybe 40?
40 memorable ones. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
I would have thought a lot fewer.
No, there's a lot of good teachers out there.
How many terrible ones?
Terrible.
Terrible.
That I've experienced personally, maybe 5, but I've heard a lot from my friends, which adds up to more.
Adds up to more than 5.
Yeah.
The ratio of great teachers to bad teachers, how would you put it?
Maybe 3/4 are good.
And based on what you expected out of the public education system, how do you find that?
Well, I didn't know what to expect since this is my first time through the public education system, but I expected better than I received.
You did expect better. Okay, we're going to pick that apart a little bit. I want to go to your first day in school now. It was a little earlier than her first day in school. Clinton Public School, Chicago, Illinois.
That's correct.
Tell us about that day.
First day in kindergarten.
Yeah, because you wrote about it in the book and you're still traumatized by it.
I did. Well, I think, after more than a few years, I'm over it. But no, I mean, it was the first day of school, and if this 5-year-old had anything to do with it, it would have been my last day of school. I went to school, and if you think about the Wizard of Oz, and you think of the Wicked Witch, that was my kindergarten teacher. And for some strange reason, she found it odd that I would ask questions. I mean, it's hard to, all these years later, that I might have been a talkative kid. And, after 20 minutes, I was in the cloakroom with Scotch tape.
On your mouth?
Scotch tape wrapped all around my mouth. A little bit of breathing impairment over my nose.
Done by the teacher?
Done by the teacher. And I went home and I told my mom, that's it, I'm done with public education. My mom and dad kind of intervened, had an adult conversation with the principal, and the next day, Glinda, that wonderful witch from the north or the east, showed up and allowed me to tend to the hamsters, and the rest is history.
So you did go back to school after that?
I did. It was compulsory, and it was made easier because there was a teacher who understood, I think, the core message of Tai's narrative, which is the ability to adapt to individual differences of kids.
Well, let's get into that, because obviously, I mean, I've set it up this way because I want to get a sense of what makes for a good teacher. I presume Scotch tape over the mouth does not make for good teachers, but you had some good and memorable teachers in your time, Tai, and what qualities did those good and memorable teachers have?
I think the most important part of being a good teacher is building the relationship between their students and themselves, because depending on how comfortable your students are, it can reveal a lot about themselves and trustworthy issues and maybe not so trustworthy issues. But if I have a trustworthy teacher, I can go to them about anything.
How do they establish trust with you?
Connecting with me on an individual level and making it personal rather than as a class. Does that make sense?
Well, let me follow up. How many teachers frequently called you by name?
Maybe all of them except 2 or 3.
And the ones that didn't call you by name, how did they refer to you?
You there, or thing?
Thing.
Thing.
If a teacher doesn't know a student's name, what do you think that says?
I can maybe understand the first couple of weeks of school because they have a lot of students and it's hard to remember names. But after a couple years, it becomes a problem.
Really? You had teachers a couple of years later who still wouldn't call you by name?
Yeah, I'm not sure if they knew my name.
Huh. You would think that's part of the program, right?
I would think.
You would think so. Charles, you want to add anything to that list about what makes for a good teacher?
Well, I think that Ty's, basically putting the word respect on the wall. As a matter of fact, in Ontario schools, if you were to go to the schools, every school in Ontario, or the boardrooms of every school board, you would see the legacy of Dr. Betty Stevenson when she was minister many years ago, and a whole bunch of people put together Ontario school values. And respect is there, it's in every probably post-secondary school. But respect really has to be acted out in behavior in terms of really understanding each student, their different approaches to learning, what they already know, and having enough respect for them to get to know them, at least their names, and obviously more than just the name.
I presume, Ty, that respect is a two-way street. You wanted the teachers to connect with you and to know you. In return, I assume you had to show them respect as well.
Yeah.
Fair to say?
Yeah.
And I mean, let's ask this. How many students, how many of your friends in school, your colleagues in school, were not particularly respectful to teachers and it was their fault?
There's a few.
A few or more than a few?
More than a few.
And as you look back at why students were not respectful to teachers, what explanations do you come up with?
How the teacher treats the student. And some students are just not mature enough yet. But that just comes with age and maturity, so.
So if you're a teacher dealing with a disrespectful student, what's the plan?
To connect with them on an individual level. Like, you're not gonna be disrespectful to someone if they show you the common courtesy to get to know you. Especially if it's one-on-one, like there's no one to show off for. So I don't see why they wouldn't be respectful if you show them respect.
I mean, since you made a reference to my nefarious early years in school, you probably already also read about, when I was so bored by the lack of challenge that I showed a little bit of disrespect, including, trying to, burn down the second grade classroom. I wasn't really trying to burn it down, but I was trying to, get some attention. So it was Miss Pond, my third grade teacher, who I think may have saved my life. And what did she do? So I was disrespectful. There's no doubt about it. I was bored. Every time I acted out, they sent me home, and I read books and had fun and enjoyed myself, and I got a good education. They rewarded me for acting out until Miss Pond, who got to know me. She found out about the fact that I had certain interests and certain likes, including a very strong burgeoning interest in baseball, and allowed me to do some of my homework, whether it was math or an English project, using the key of baseball to illustrate the Illinois curriculum in those days. So even when a student is disrespectful, that's unacceptable. Parents need to be apprised of that. It's up to the adult to figure out how to reach that child and try to have enough trust so that they can do what educators do, which is to bring out the best in their students.
That feels harder to do today with so much of everything going on. More distractions today, more showing off today. You've got violence in classrooms, you've got drugs in classrooms, you've got kids coming from dysfunctional homes. Would you agree that nobody would disagree with what you're saying, but is it really harder to do today than it was back in your day?
Well, I don't know about that. I certainly don't disagree with the challenge of our great teachers. As Tai said, 75% of her narrative in terms of teachers has been extremely positive. The other 25% in a subset of that are actually doing damage to kids. And so, for me, I respect the challenges that you've described. But you know what? We could have university professors blame the high schools, and the high schools blame the middle schools, and the middle schools blame the elementary schools, and the elementary schools blame the parents. Great educators say, you know what? This is what I've got. This is the hand I've been dealt, and I'm going to make a difference in every single one of these kids' lives. And I'm not going to, make excuses. Am I going to seek help to help what I do in the classroom? Of course.
Did the 25% of the teachers who you thought were not good, ruin the educational experience for you so much that the 75% that were good couldn't counteract that?
Yeah, I think so. I really love some specific courses because they're what I'm interested in, but because of the specific teachers that I've had, they've turned me off the courses completely, and therefore made my education experience not so great.
Did you have a learning disability as well?
I do.
You do. Not did, do.
I do.
What is it?
What's it called?
The technical term is receptive learning, decoding, encoding, which basically means Ty's ability to read complex stuff, to listen to lectures and make notes at the same time is extremely challenging. But you know, she had accommodations in elementary and high school, and she was an honor student, and she writes beautifully, as you can see in the book.
That sounds like a difficult thing to diagnose. How did somebody find that out, that you had that in the first place?
My second and third grade teacher, because it was the same teacher, approached my dad, and
He or she?
She approached my dad. What was the conversation she had?
Well, she just said, if you noticed, there seems to be a disconnect between Ty's verbal acuity and putting something on paper. The father said defensively, don't be silly. And she just said, no, it's just a question mark. Great educator, just posing a question mark. She's not a special ed teacher. And she asked me just to pay attention to the homework, and the rest is history. She had a diagnostic done, accommodations through elementary and secondary were fantastic, and you know, she's 90% a high school graduate. So,
Do you know this? I mean, this teacher, she's on the 75%, I guess, right?
Yeah.
She's one of the good ones?
Yeah.
Still in touch with her at all?
Not so much, but I wouldn't be afraid to connect with her again, which is a good thing.
Fond memories?
Yes, a lot.
You agree with the characterization your dad said, that she in some respects saved your life?
Yeah, I think the way that she approached my dad about bringing up possibly having a learning disability was the right way to go about it. I think a lot of parents, like my dad, could have got really defensive and maybe not even explored getting me checked out by a doctor. But the way that she approached it made it easier, I guess, for a parent to hear.
And this was not a special private school you were at. This was our public education system.
Yeah.
Which did a good job in this case.
Yeah.
well, except that was at a time where a lot of high-level school psychologists had been cut from the Ontario public school system as a result of a previous administration at Queen's Park. And so ties from the moment Madame raised the question mark to a diagnostic, to a wraparound plan that was non-stigmatizing. Ty has never felt, I am who I am. I've got tremendous assets, and I've got this idiosyncratic, this strange, learning disability. When I asked people how long that took for her to be back on track and being successful, people say 2 years, 3 years, or whatever. It took 6 weeks because of Rolodex. I made one phone call, found out the best diagnostician, who used to be the head of diagnostics for the Toronto School Board, who was doing it independently. I was able to get 80% of the fee for that back from my plan. And, so money and Rolodex shouldn't count. It's an embarrassing story to tell. But we need to do better in the current environment to make sure that all kids have great educators as early as possible, just to raise the question mark and to have assessments that are accessible, free, and have the kind of success trajectory that Ty is at.
Gotcha. Ty, I want to ask you about one of your teachers who, did I read this right, on day one of class announced, "Class, just want you to know, I'm gay. This is who I am." Did that happen? Have I got that right?
It wasn't one of my teachers, but it was one of my mom's friend's son's teachers.
Oh, okay.
And it wasn't just that he announced it, it was more the way he announced it.
So was it he? Okay, I've misremembered the story a bit here. As Roger Clemens would say, I misremembered. Okay.
So how did he do that? I mean,
Yeah.
The story is interesting.
Tell it out.
So he, on the first day of class, he wrote the word gay in a box on the chalkboard. And he said, okay, what does this word mean to you? And the class started raising their hands. Some people said happy, because that's a term for gay, and some people said stupid or embarrassing, or I'm not sure what the words were, but those were some of the words. And at the end of the class, just about before the bell rang, he erased the word gay and wrote his own name in the box.
Okay, education expert, that approach. Yes, no?
Well, what he did was, Tai in the book talks about this notion of getting to know each other. Now, some of Tai's teachers, the ones who reveal who they are as human beings, is really critical. It's about, there's some fine lines there, but absolutely there's a elephant in the room. He used it not only to reveal, in my opinion, who he is, but it was a teachable moment regarding the nature of, I stand for equity. I live with, a wonderful, worldview. I am who I am, and I want you to get to know me.
And for the parents who think that whatever a teacher's sexual orientation is, really it's nobody's business and shouldn't be talked about in the classroom?
Well, they will have their own opinions, but from my point of view, I thought it was a teachable moment, and I thought it was very brave on his part. That's who he is. Tai, you had you had a middle school teacher, and she did it in a less bombastic way. How did
that might be the one I was thinking of before, because it was a female teacher I was thinking of.
Yeah.
I think she just told us, like in a casual conversation with the class.
I see. How did kids react when she said?
We didn't. It's just she is who she is.
Straight on.
So it's matter of fact.
Gotcha. I want to let me change the subject a little bit, because you've talked in the book about when parents have a problem or students have a problem, what do you do about it? And all of us who have kids in the education system fear that moment where you feel you need to complain to either your teacher or your principal about something going on in the school, but you're concerned that if you look like a cranky parent, they're going to take it out on your kid. Advice, please. Charles, you first. How do we handle that?
Well, I don't know. Maybe you want to tell one of the stories about middle school, or, I mean, from my point of view, it's really important to do everything you can to have your kid, your child, to eventually become good self-advocates in a very safe way. As Tai said earlier, she's a really good self-advocate if she's got a relationship with somebody, and I can go up to, Mr. E or Mr. So-and-so or Ms. So-and-so and say, I need some help with this, or I didn't understand what you were doing there, or I actually thought maybe you were a little dismissive of so-and-so. That's a great relationship where a student can get more mature about being a self-advocate. In the meantime, parents need to be involved. Parents need to, the notion of letting kids come home that have been bullied or are disrespected by a teacher, it's unacceptable. So parents need to use their own emotional intelligence, have a relationship with the principal, make sure they have relationships, never miss a parent-teacher opportunity, develop the relationship, and raise questions that have arisen as a result of a conversation with their kid.
In a non-threatening way, I guess.
In a non-threatening way, and with the notion that sometimes kids' imagination might lead to, that's just one side of a particular story. But parents need to be advocates, and this notion that the child will have reprisal on occasion, that's real, and it has happened. It's happened to Tai, where feedback has been given, and the principal actually labeled the feedback to a specific student. In this case, it was Tai, and there was reprisal.
So let me ask you about that. When, on those occasions when your dad or your mom would have gone to school and tried to have a discussion with a teacher or with a principal about something related to you, do you as the student, well, how do you regard that?
I guess it depends on the issue, because sometimes you think you're big enough to handle an issue, but you don't see the bigger picture when maybe you do need a parent to have your back in some situations. Most of the time, I think that when my dad has been involved with talking to one of my teachers, it's been a positive experience. But the ones that aren't so great are really not so great.
You want to give us a for instance?
For instance, when I was in middle school, I had a teacher, a pool teacher, and I think this was grade 7, so she asked us on the first day, who has their period, okay?
The swimming coach asked.
The swimming teacher asked, how many of you have started your menstruation now?
Yeah, okay.
In front of everybody?
In front of everyone.
Boys too?
Raise your hands. No.
In front of girls.
Girls only, okay.
But it's still embarrassing. We're in grade 7. No one really talks about it. So obviously no one raises their hand. And then I go home that day. I tell my dad as just something that happened in my day, not complaining or anything. It's just something that happened that was weird. And
imagine your reaction to that.
No, we laughed about it. We said, how does a mature woman not understand that she wants information about the relationship between girls and their periods and swimming, that you send a note home, you have individual conversations.
Yeah, of course.
But she didn't have that experience.
So you complained to the principal?
No, I didn't complain.
Oh.
No, actually, the next time I was in the school talking to the principal, in the same matter-of-fact way we talked about around the dinner table, I said, by the way, it was kind of interesting, and I told the story to the principal. Within 48 hours, Ty's back in school, and the pool teacher is absolutely turned Jekyll into Hyde regarding how she's treating Ty. Ty's a strong swimmer, and it was unbelievable. It was just like, just strange. And so the next time I saw the principal, I said, by the way, Ty's having this very rude experience on the part of the so-and-so. Well, I don't know. I just told her that, wasn't a big deal. But did you identify the student? So I told Ty this story a little bit later in life. And Ty went from a little more empathy with the pool teacher and not a lot of respect for a principal who would take something that was a coaching thing and identify the source of it. Because Ty wasn't mistreated when she was asked, raise your hand if you've started it.
So it made it worse ultimately?
Oh, well, it was unrelenting, and Ty basically, got the credit for swimming because he's a strong swimmer. It was, punishing.
Let's put one more thing on the table here in our last few minutes, and that is, I think I read in your book that 225 hours of classes were taught by substitute teachers. And you had a situation where somebody walked in and said, I'm the substitute math teacher today, and guess what? I don't know a thing about math. It was that stark. An uncomfortable question, but let's get into it. Did it feel to you as a student that teachers were abusing their sick days?
Yeah, I think it did. I had a period of high school where I think I had a good substitute teacher for even 3 or 4 months. And I don't know where my teacher went, but...
They didn't tell you?
No. I don't know if they thought it was our business or... But that happened, and other teachers were just gone for weeks, and I don't know if they just save up their days. I don't really know how it works, but I hadn't seen some of my teachers for a while.
Obviously, with the last teacher negotiations between the province and the teacher unions, this was a huge focus, and it resulted in a removal of extracurriculars and all of that stuff. Having said that, did we have a problem in this province with teachers taking sick days they ought not to be taking?
Well, I think, it could be. I mean, Ty just did the math. There was consistent, good school, mainly good teachers, but there was consistent kind of serial absence of teachers for a couple days or a week or whatever. And Ty just did the math. She just did the math for basically 1 year regarding, the number you quoted. 225
hours in 1 year.
And so many of them, ill-prepared to, carry on. And I guess the substitute teacher story that Ty told me is the one you mentioned. At least the guy was intellectually honest. I know nothing about the math, and I guess he read the newspaper and said, don't bother me.
Well, he said that he would help us if he could, but he said he doesn't know math.
Oh, gosh. Well, all right. In conclusion then, if you were a financially rich man and you had to do it all over again, would you have sent her to private school?
No. No, I mean, if people like us and we could have afforded private schools. As a matter of fact, we thought about the Institute for Child Studies, which costs a lot of money. It's a great institution connected with the Ontario Institute for Studies and Education, the University of Toronto. But no, I think the public education system in Ontario is it's a really good system, but it's too far from perfect, as the title of the book suggests. And Tai has been fortunate. She's thrived with this, but has decided that she wanted to share her narrative. She's got great ideas about how to improve teacher training, how to get schools ready for kids, not just kids ready for school. And we have enough money to squeeze by, just like a lot of people decide to put their kids in private school. But Ontario is not a place where more and more people are sending their kids to private school. On the contrary, that's actually going down. So I think we've done well in the public system, and you'd have to ask Tai whether she would have preferred to go to a private school.
You have anticipated my next question, which is, did you go, any time between K and 12, did you go to private school?
No.
Always public education system all the way through?
Yeah.
Did you have friends who went to private school?
Maybe a couple, but not really.
Okay, so if you saw them in their uniforms and field hockey sticks over their shoulders or whatever it is that they do, any jealousy or regrets about any of that?
I mean, I don't really know that much about private schools since I've never been in the private school system, but I think an advantage is that they have less kids in each class, so it gives teachers the opportunity to get to know their kids better. But I did like my public school experience, so I don't think I would have traded it in.
Gotcha. What I liked about the book so much was the lovely rapport you two have as you tell this story. And it's a lovely read. Too Far From Perfect, a father-daughter conversation about public education. Tai Pascal Notar, Charles Pascal, thanks a lot for coming into TVO tonight.
Thanks so much, Steve.
Thank you.
Support Ontario's public television. Donate at tvo.org.